Okay, I just wanted to finish up what we didn't get to in class the other day. I think we did this one, but I just want to kind of get a running start. Um, if you're asked what the angle is, um, and you are given a trig function and a value, you definitely want to make sure it's either sine, cosine, or tangent. So if you need to do the reciprocal, then do the reciprocal. If they give you something like square root of 2 over 2, then you're going to need to untangle that and basically unrationalize it, put it back into its original form. This time they didn't give you a reciprocal, so you don't have to worry about flipping it. It's not, it hasn't been rationalized, so you don't have to worry about that. You do need to turn it into a fraction. So that lets me know that the opposite side is square root of 3 and the adjacent side is 1. So I need to start sketching that. Now, first thing you look at is the sign of it. Since tangent is positive, you got to ask yourself which two quadrants tangent's positive in. Well, it's going to be in the first one where all of them are positive, and in the third one where all students take calculus, where you get your T. All right, so my little angle is right there. These are my right angles. And so I'm trying to define opposite is square root of 3. So opposite of my angle, square root of 3, adjacent is 1. Well, that should ring a bell that the other side has to be 2. So this has to be a 30, 60, 90 triangle. The question is, which one is this? Is this a 30 or is this a 60? So hopefully it's stuck in your brain by now that opposite the square root of 3 is always 60. So that's a 60-degree reference angle in both quadrants. Well, in quadrant 1, your angle is your angle. Whatever your reference angle is, that's it. But in quadrant 3, you actually have to do some computation. We went past 180, 60 degrees. So that's going to be 240. So I need 60 and 240 for that one. So just a reminder, I think we did that one in class, but if you need to see it again. This part we did not get to. And when you get to the calculator questions on the test, you need to make sure that your calculator is in degrees, whether I remind you to or not. So you're going to need that. You got to remember how to type it, so I'm going to try to write down as much as I can. Remember, when you go to type, you need sine 36, and that's going to be plus 54 over 60. So we're going to do sine 36 plus 54 divided by 60. Oops, my 0 didn't go. There we go. And then for some crazy reason, Math Excel loves decimals, so we have to go 8 places for Math Excel. So I have 0.60042, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, lost my mind. 7, and then I got to do a 3. My bad. All right, so whenever I do this one, I have 2 problems. I have degrees, minutes, and seconds, and I also have one of those crazy reciprocals. And you have to use the reciprocal rule. This is 1 over cosine of the same angle. Okay, so for us, that means 1 over cosine, and then we're going to have 53 plus 30 over 60. Now, once you get good at this, y'all know that that's just 53.5. So we're going to type 1 divided by cosine 53 plus 30 divided by 60, or you can just do 0.5. So I have got 1.68117299. I do believe that's my 8 places. Okay, then I have cotangent. Well, I don't need cotangent. I need tangent. So 1 over tangent of the same angle is equivalent. But I need to type it as 1 over tangent 226 plus 48 over 60. Okay, so here we go. 1 divided by tangent 226 plus 48 divided by 60. And again, once you get good at fractions, you could reduce that out. That's 4/5. So 0.9390625, and it's going to round up to 1. Now be particular about rounding, because my calculator said 506, but I got to round that up to 51. Okay, so that's that part. Now this is going backwards. Hopefully you notice that on these, every one of them, we are looking for the angle. Okay, when you look for the angle, you have to hit the second button. Okay? And I'm not going to tell you that come test time. Okay, so I'm going to try to write it out as best I can so we're not just doing a bunch of chicken scratch. All right, if I've got cosine of theta equals that crazy decimal, what I'm doing is this, and you might want, I highly suggest you write this. This means you're coming in here and you're doing inverse cosine because you're trying to get theta alone, okay? And now type that in. The way you type that is second cosine 0.83812191. Okay, and so I'm getting, all right, what does it say do? 6 decimal places, good Lord. Okay, 33.05767, and I'm having to round up 4. It's kind of crazy, but oh well. All right, next one. I do not have a cotangent button, so I'm going to have to use some skills here. I want its reciprocal, so I'm going to take the reciprocal of both sides of this equation. So that's going to give me tangent of alpha equals 1 over this decimal. Well, I don't want tangent of alpha, I want alpha. So alpha is equal to the inverse tangent of this crazy fraction. So that's how you know what to type. So I'm starting second, tangent, 1 divided by crazy decimal. 9, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And I'm just going to have to put it out here. 41.407755. Okay. One more. Again, I don't want cosecant. I need somebody, either sine, cosine, tangent. Well, he's the reciprocal of sine. So flipping this side gives me sine. Flipping this side, I'll put 1 over a crazy decimal. Oops, that's a 4. Okay. I want alpha by itself, so I need to put sine on the other side and make him the inverse. Okay, so second sine 1 divided by 1.2340331. Okay, I got 54.13024, and I've got to go up to 3. So the main thing is when you're when I give you something like sine of 23, you just type it in, you're going to give me the decimal. If I ask you for sine of theta equals 0.1526, you had to hit second sine. This ends up being inverse sine of that. Okay? It gets more complicated whenever you have the inverse functions. So if you have secant of 36 degrees, well, you're just going to do 1 over cosine of 36, and out pops the answer. What it's like on the other one is secant of theta equals, I don't know, 2.345. Okay, well, to solve that out, you got to do reciprocal. You got to do reciprocal. And then you've got to do your inverse. So that's going to be cosine inverse of crazy fraction. Now, if you're trying to do this without writing anything down, and you're trying to remember all these steps and just do it with your fingers and your calculator, you are most likely going to get confused. You might ace it, but I doubt it. So I highly suggest you write something down and get some form and structure to your problem, because in both cases you are doing reciprocals. In both cases you're using trig functions, but the order is different. Over here, you do the reciprocal, and you're going to type 1 divided by cosine of 36. So 1 divided by, let's see here, cosine 36, out pops your answer, 1.2361. Okay, over here, the order is different. And so if you don't know that the difference in the orders, you're totally screwed. So second cosine, so I do my trig function first, and then I do 1 divided by the crazy decimal. So I would definitely put something on the paper. I'm just saying. I'd definitely put something on the paper. Okay. Last little bit. The one you're going to have on your test is very easy. And quite honestly, it's easier than this because I'm just going to tell you what the weight is, and I'm just going to tell you what theta is. You plug it in, and if it pops out. This one's harder. Not that it's hard. It's just a little bit harder because this is the weight, and this is the force that is exerted. So negative 220 goes here, weight goes where the W is, and you're looking for the angle, because I mean it says what's the angle. So you're going to divide both sides by 2400, and that leaves you this crazy fraction equals sine theta. Well, we just worked those. Remember, to find out theta, I'm going to need to do inverse sine. Don't lose your negative. 2400. Okay, so type second sine negative 220 divided by 2400 is, I'm just going to scoot over because I ran out of room. I don't know how far I was supposed to go. I think that's right. Nearest hundredth. If yours comes out, somebody was doing it earlier today, and their hundredths came out to be, and I'm just making something up, they had like this. So to round to the nearest hundredths, this part had to go up 1. Well, think of that as 19. You've got to type that in. You do have to go to 2 decimal places. Don't just stop with the 2. You put the 0 in. Otherwise, Math Excel is probably going to scream at you. All right, so last little thing. This looks terrible, but I'm hoping y'all remember it. You remember all those things I made you memorize? And I told you they're seriously going to come into play later. But you need to be aware. You got to remember who goes with what. And hopefully you remember these, because this problem should give you a serious case of deja vu. You don't need a calculator. I'd hate to know I had to type that crap in. I wouldn't even want to do it. I wouldn't think you would. What you're doing is you're trying to see if it actually is one of these Pythagoreans. So when you see this 1 and this cosecant squared and the cotangent squared, I'm hoping it rings a bell. But remember, we said the 1's and the t's always had to be on the same side. They don't have the 1 and the t on the same side. So this is wrong. These are backwards. So I think this was a drop-down menu, true or false? That's a false one. But you need to be familiar enough with your Pythagorean relationships that you can know them. I would know my 30, 60, 90 triangles, my 45, 90 triangles, and my unit circle. You're going to have to use them profusely. Okay? So y'all be prepared for your test. Hope this helps.